Hello and welcome back to another episode of Combustion RC. You know, some have said recently that my hat's looking a little tired. Well, you'd be right. We can just retire that one and rep the sponsor hat that I do have. This is going to be going bye-bye. This is the S12-3D. As you can see, it comes in this super awesome box. But before anything, we need to caffeinate and hydrate. Now let's get into business. So we're gonna go ahead and open the box and see what's inside. It does give you a list of all of the new features. If you're curious what all this kit has, there's like 30 points there. If you wanna see it, pause the video. So in this S12-3 kit, we have this really sleek body, which honestly kind of it's giving Leadfinger. Like, I don't know if Chris had any design in this body, but it looks very much like what Leadfinger would do. So, be kind of cool to know. Chris, did you have any part of this? Then you also have a wing here, some wheel nuts. So that was bag L in the body. And then bag in here we have some tools, a little thing of, not sure, red grease. We'll get into this one first and set it aside. Bag C, we have SWORKz Mr. Grease ball diff paste and high pressure black grease. That is our ball diff with some really nice sealed bearings. So that is cool to see in there as well. Then we have bag D, which is slipper assembly. Looks like our gearbox housing. Oh, that's cool to see. I don't know if you can see that in the bag there. Yeah, you can. Each individual screw size is packaged separately, so you're not having to sort. It's pre-sorted. That's a nice feature. I like that a lot. So I have been around SWORKz. I've seen SWORKz. I have friends who are with SWORKz. In fact, one of my friends is the Midwest regional manager for SWORKz. So I've driven them. I know I like them. These cars are fantastic. There is one caveat that I'm like, but it's still a fairly new company, and they'll get there. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. But these are phenomenal kits. The build quality, the packaging is already, like, you can just see the parts in here are amazing. There's your shocks. So, and then there's this giant bag. Oh, dude, the hubs are even laser etched. Like, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but those are even laser etched. The chassis is laser etched with SWORKz on it. It's super awesome. Here's where it gets into the caveat I was saying. This is the one thing I will say that, as much as I hate to say this, X-Ray probably has the market cornered, and Techno, on one thing. Do you know what that one thing is? Manuals. There has never been a manual that is as good as an X-Ray or Techno. Any company. I don't care who it is. Associated even. I don't care. These are very similar to that kind of vein of, it's not as nice as some of the others, which if you've seen the X-Ray one, you know it's like in color and has all the parts separated and everything. This is still easy to follow. It's just not as easy to follow. It's still much easier to follow than, say, a Lego, for instance. If you watched my 15-minute Lego video on that guy right there, you saw that there were some pretty interesting things in there. But it is what it is. But as you can see, it's still very, very, very easy to read. Everything is very well broken out. It's just not as piece by piece as some of the others, but you don't really need it to be piece by piece if you've ever built another kit. Maybe not for a first kit. If this is your first kit, please watch and follow along. You're probably going to need to know some of this stuff here. If you see me looking around a lot, so I'm trying something with two cameras. I've got my iPad facing me directly here, and then I've got my phone up here on the tilt so that I can tilt it down. I can have a straight shot and a tilt down shot. So I'm going to try to get you a couple different angles going here of stuff. Once this is tilted down, I'll be less like, hey, which one do I look at? But, you know, we're going to try things here because that's part of learning. It's part of growing the channel. It's part of growing to be better at content creation for you. I want you to be able to get the most out of this channel because this channel is for education. As much as my cup says, education is important, but RC racing is importanter. Let's face it, education is important, and RC education is just as important. I will say that the one thing that I do like about this is they actually do put in little detail blips about what different things do. That's something not a lot of people do. Another thing I like is the spare parts list is very well described in here, and then including the option parts list, such as the Pro Ball diff unit. You can actually purchase it as a full unit already built. The words is hard. You can get the gear diff set for it for if you're wanting to, flip it back and forth to carpet pretty quickly. They've got the SWORKz wheels in here. They have the different spur gears that you can get for this, which is 72 and 78. There is also the wing, body mounts. I believe the aluminum front hubs and whatnot are in here. Yes, they are. The brass balancing plate, which you can get 15-gram brass balancing plate, which is pretty cool. There is also a 25-gram front hub or front bulkhead hinge pin mount that you can get as well. There's a lot of different things that you can get in here that are aftermarket, just like with some of the others. Now, one thing you'll notice is this list is substantially smaller than, say, the X-Ray. I like that. I actually don't like the fact that the X-Ray has 4 pages of option parts to get for the car. One thing that I am going to say is this car is going to end up being a... That being said, I'm excited to have an SWORKz on the oval. You don't see them on the oval very often, and I'm looking forward to this. In this, there is also your window mast, SWORKz stickers, and antenna tube, and some Velcro for the body. So this is going to get set aside for now. And remember to caffeinate and hydrate. Always have some water around too, not just caffeine. You don't want to be going like this the whole time you're trying to work on something. You need to balance it out with some water. I am super curious what's in this little white tub because I have no idea. Does this say what's in here? Ah, this is grease, it says. Okay. What kind of grease? Now that being, it does come with grease. Ah, it's just grease. Nope, not caramel. Looks like caramel, but it's not caramel. If you don't have tools, I mean, you can. If you love your fingers, please don't, but you can. And actually a full bottle, 60 cc's of 500 CPS or CF, or yeah, CST, depending on where you're at, but 500 weight shock fluid. Pretty sweet. And if you're wondering what 500 weight shock fluid is, that is 37.5-ish weight, 37 to 38 weight. That's good, because that's actually what I was going to be running in this anyway. So look at that. We can use the kit stuff. And of course, with being sticky kicks, I got to represent. I will not be using the greases in the kit because I'm going to be using the sticky kicks clear lube for my ball diff, the white grease for anything that is O-ring or X-ring, the red grease for anything that is ring and pinion gears, which we don't have in this, but we do have drive axles and drives, so we're using that on there. And then our normal thrust, bearing, and axle grease, which is our black stuff. So we're going to be using that on this kit. I like the syringes because I can back them back in and it doesn't leak everywhere. So that's really nice about those. Plus they have the little caps you can, they're small, they take up less space, and you can get the exact amount you want without having to scrape anything out. It looks like it's actually having a start with bag C, so I'm glad that I left that out. So it wants bag C first and then bag D. Well, we're not going in order here. Then bag E. Okay, I'm confused. Does the Thai or Italian alphabet start with C because it goes C, D, E, K? Oh, I see. It's because this is bag E. All in one bag. So our shocks are in one bag. Our diff is in one bag. The car is in one bag. That's going to be a lot of parts on the counter. Oh well, just for grins, I am going to go ahead and open up bag E, because I want you to see the beauty of this chassis. I've seen these. If you've not seen these at your local track, you're going to want to see these. Okay, so I said we're doing bag C, D, and what? C, D, and E? Or C, D, and K? C, D, and E. I wonder what A and B were. They must have been for an older chassis or something. goes. Prepare to be astonished. Look at that. Let's turn it the right side. There we go. This is a beautiful chassis. Wonderful laser etching here. That is not a sticker. That is actually laser etched into the chassis. So it's, yeah, I mean, you just can't beat that. The millwork is phenomenal. Beautiful millwork. Everything is just very well done on this. We're gonna, yeah, that's cool looking. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna need to open our manual. So we're gonna be in bag C. You see I've already got the top of it open. We're gonna go ahead and pull out the contents and see what's inside and how many more bags we might need to open. Here's the Mr. Grease. Let's see, oh, it is actually a full jar of grease. So that's awesome. It's not as pungent as some greases are. I will say that. Some black greases are very pungent. This one's not. It's probably a pretty high quality grease, to be honest, but I'm going to use the Sticky Kick stuff. And that clear grease for the ball diff has 0 scent whatsoever, which is usually a sign of a good quality clear grease. So if you're only using what's in here, I would say you're good, because this looks like good quality stuff. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take our knife and open our next bag. And I'm gonna go ahead and slide down the side of this one. I'm gonna leave these separated just because that's such a nice feature that they actually separate things. And I'm gonna leave these in these bags to set here. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I don't open this until absolutely necessary. Ah, it's not a cage thrust bearing. Darn. Oh well. That's fine. These have a little bit bigger balls than the caged ones, and honestly, with oval, the caged ones seem to not last all that long. These are out drives. These are heavy little out drives. Very nice. Nice machine finish on it. Wow, that is very nice, actually. And a bunch of you are probably like, when are you going to stab your hand? Hopefully not. That's one. Hopefully not. These two smaller bearings, I'll go ahead and take them out of package. Some high quality plastic bags they got going on too. Those things are hard to tear. Hope you're not using your teeth to open these, because you're not going to be able to. All right, and this is, as with any kit video I do, this is the only time that you're going to see in this video me opening the bags. From here out, anytime we come to new bags, it's going to be go ahead and open everything and set it in a line and get it ready to rock. These are pre-greased. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Guys, that is one step above any other brand that I've ever built. The diff rings come pre-greased. I have never seen that, ever. And I've built a lot of kits, as you've noticed on this channel. These are all off of a tree, perfectly clean. I don't think we're gonna have to do any, my goodness. If this is how this kit build is going to go, then this is going to be great. These are flat and flat, or are they flat and bevel? They are flat and flat. Okay, set those right there just so I can maybe get a little bit of an edge to lift them up. Well, let's just go ahead and do our first things that we know we need to do, which is we need to set our ring gears on here, or our diff rings. I'll do that before anything else. So there's that. This is the side the spring goes in, so we're going to go ahead and set our spring there. Oop. And T-nut. Thrust bolt and cap is going to go on this side, which means our washers and stuff's going to go over here as well. Go ahead and slide that on there. And does this say anything about one side being beveled versus not? No, it does not. Okay, so we're going to look. Sort of flat edge. I don't see a flat edge. It looks like this is going to be one where it's just going to actually just make sure you have your grease in there to flop the bearings in. So leave that sitting there like so. All right. Save you for the end. Get that in there. We can go ahead and put one of our washers on our thrust bolt. I'm a little shaky. I think I've had too much caffeine already. All right, so we're gonna need our clear grease for in here. Oop. I need a little more, a little less of that. We'll find out. And then we bring our black grease over because we're going to need that for the thrust bolt there. Let's see if I can go ahead and put a little dabadoo on there. I don't know why I'm so shaky today. As you can see, that's messy. We're getting grease everywhere, fingers, desk. That's why you always have paper towel handy. Always have paper towel handy when you're building a kit. I'm even going to put this down here so that if I drop a diff ball, it's not going to go bouncing everywhere. Now, one thing you will notice is I'm using an Aeromax 1.5 and not a Sticky Kicks 1.5. Reason being, I have no idea where my 1.5 Sticky Kicks is at. I had it a couple weeks ago. Now I don't. So here it is, Aeromax 1.5 for today. So I'm going to go ahead and set that there. I'm going to use this to push our grease around to make sure we got each hole greased. So you want to make sure there's grease in all those. If you want to, you can pull it out and double check, make sure it's going through the holes, which it is. And you can even do the old flipper and smoosher just to make sure that it's even on both sides. Now we're going to carefully slice this open. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 diff balls. So it's going to be, if you're using like a Sticky Kicks diff ball set and you're purchasing it aftermarket, you're going to use the AE one, which has 14 balls in it, not the X-ray one, which only has 12. And that is why we put it on this, because if that was on the actual table, those would have flown away. So now we're going to give them a little push and snaps. You feel a slight little pop when they get into their home. And yes, I do think of Happy Gilmore every time I say that. Don't you want to go to your home? That's your home. A little pushy push. And one more. Give them a little light taps all the way around. Okay. 332087. 332087. These say T steel, so tempered steel or tungsten steel, depending on how you. So if you get the full tungsten carbide ones, those are going to be better than what this is, just like in any kit. But these are still really good. Then you're going to go ahead and set your top shaft or your top end on here. There's that together. And the post side is this side, so we can go ahead and put that in there and slide this down. Hopefully it doesn't move. Actually, let's just leave it like that. Stay. All right, for these little holes in the paper towel come in handy. So now we're going to build our thrust washer. So we need all of these on here, which is why we put the grease on first, because it holds them on. And it should look like a little clover, like that. I'm going to get a skosh more grease right here. That's going to help hold all that in. Then carefully wipe the excess off the thread so you don't have any grease on there. And then without losing any of that, I'm going to pick this up with one hand. Very carefully push it through the hole at the bottom if you can get it lined up. And grab a 2mm and push it all the way through. Get your 2mm in the head of that bolt. You're going to grab your 1.5 because it fits in the drive cup. And you're going to push down on that while you screw this side. That way you can compress that spring at the same time. Just like so. And you can feel it going all the way down. You keep pressure on this all the time so the balls don't come out of their home. And you can see where that's at in there. Maybe if I can get one of these to focus, you can kind of see where that's at in there. And when that gets to the bottom, you'll know you're all the way tight. But just like with any ball diff, never over tighten. As soon as it starts feeling pressure, just see if you can give it a little finger tug more. And if it won't go anymore, you're at the bottom. Okay? You don't ever want to make those too tight. Then, once you're all said and done, this side with your hex head, slide that down on there, and then snap it in place over the head. There we go. Those coolies have that like blue steel color to them. Then rotate it around, holding one side. Making sure that grease is all seated in there well. Good. Very good. All right, now we get our big bearings out. Our big bearings go on the outside right here and right here. Ooh, come on now. There we go. And then this is a shim. You may or may not need the shim. We'll find out. All right, so there is our ball diff. So that is bag 1, which is bag D, done. Or sorry, bag C. Now we're going to go on to bag D. So at this point, you can pause the video, and once we get bag D all sorted out, then we'll jump back onto film here. So pause the video now, get your parts sorted out from bag D, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so like I said, the pre-sorting of these bags is fantastic. So all you gotta do is slice them open, and then you've got pretty much everything pre-sorted. One thing I will say we're not gonna be using is we're not gonna be using these yet. Once it goes to buggy, we will, and the wing buttons we won't be using just yet, because these are gonna be for a wing, which we're not gonna be using because it's gonna be. So we're going to need, first off, we need the left side, or some side, right side, left side. This side of the gearbox, we'll find out which side it is here in a little bit. Then we'll need this guy here. Oh, look at that. Look how pretty that is. That is very nicely milled. Laser etched and everything. M3x8 flathead countersunks. M3x8 flathead countersunk. These are all button head. These are flathead countersunks. We need 3 of them. This is when a caliper comes in handy. You can use the sheet. You can do just like we always do. You can set it down on the sheet and it will tell you, nope, that's right. Or you can use the caliper to measure it as well. So then we need those. We need the pin. Which one of these bags is the pin in? This one. If I can get it out. Okay. So we got our roll pin. Don't roll away on me. There's my roll pin. And we need the really, really long bolt. So here's the long bolt. Then we need this whole bag of slipper goodies. So here is 2 pads, the disc. You can throw that away. We need our spur gear. Very interesting spur gear. I heard recently that it's very similar to a Schumacher, and so if these break and somebody has a Schumacher around you, you can use that as well. Just have an extra spur gear on hand is kind of what I would say. I am going to be putting together a small parts order here now that I've got all my part numbers to know what's what. They don't even have all of the 12-3 part numbers like listed yet as option parts or parts for this car because it is so new. So we're going to put our pin through the head of this long screw shaft dealio here. Ooh, good, it's not a pressure pin. And that's going to go in the, you can see there's 2 of these. There's one that's solid and has a flat oval shaped cut in there. I want to use this one here for this. This is where the pin goes. See there? It even has the pin markings. And unlike some of the other ones, they actually give you multiple ways you can go in. Put that like that. Slipper pads are going to snap down in here like so. They do actually kind of snap into place. These are actually nice rubberized slipper pads. I like these. Much better than... I'm glad that everybody's going to this because those old felt ones are just plain junk. I guess they weren't horrible for outdoor, but that's about it. Bevel side is going to face out. So this is going to go on here like so. Looks like it sinks down in there. And then that key is keyed to fit down in that oval shape as well. And those are going to go on here once this is all set. So I just got to turn that until it's keyed. Okay. All right, so then we need our, I'm gonna use my Ugga Dugga since this is a pretty solid graphite. 2 mil and my mini Ugga Dugga. And yes, these are new. I don't have to worry about the wobble bobs anymore. Remember the wobble bobs that I've been using for the last year? Because I used it as a pry tool? Yeah, I don't have to do that now. Isn't that great? All right, so, ooh, that even fits very nicely on there. Not all wallowed out. Fantastic. I'm already very, very pleased with this kit. The one thing that some people don't like about me, and is probably why I haven't been sponsored until now, is I'll be honest if I don't like something, whether you sponsor me or not. And there's a reason that I run what I do. It's because I like it. And I usually don't just apply for stuff. Like, I won't apply for something that I know is a sure shot, even if I don't like the product. It's just not my, it's not my cup of tea. All right, so there's those. This is gonna go through here, but I don't wanna risk dropping and slipping it just yet. So next we're going to need this bracket here, which even says, watch your hand, watch your hand. Ah! My fingers got cut off by the buggy. Oy vey. 106015 is an M3 by 5. Ooh, itty bitty guy. There's 2 of them. Guessing those other ones are M3 by 6s. M3 by 8. Okay. And then I need 2 bearings. No, 4 bearings. 4 bearings. Yep, I'm losing my bearings. Wouldn't be the first time somebody's lost their bearings. Did you see that J&T Bearing is no longer sponsoring the Killick brothers? Yeah, they lost their bearings. Know what do we need next? Oh yes, idler gear, big guy, and top shaft. Not as big as the X-ray one, which I kind of like because the way the X-ray transmission felt was funky. All right, these I'll do by hand because these are going into aluminum. It's a non-mobile part. It's not going to get a ton of vibration, so I don't know if I needed to thread lock these or not. Probably don't need to. I'll just make those tight. All right, so now very carefully get those through there. Okay, now our top shaft here gets a bearing like so. Actually slides down over this. That's a cool design. Very interesting. And that goes there. I'll go ahead and drop our bearings into our idler gear here. And then we need our, oh, the idler gear pin. Huh. I was forgetting something. Okay. Really cool. The idler gear pin is actually hollow to allow for a little bit of weight reduction. The top shaft is actually wider than the idler gear, it looks like. To make sure that's all the way down. Yeah, it is. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Guess you don't have to worry about it walking off that way. All right. So it looks like that's going to be it. It's one grease on here, but I'm not going to do that just yet. Just because I want to make a mess while I'm trying to hold stuff. So then I need my other side. I need these two brackety guys here. Did those break off to where I didn't even need to trim them? My goodness. That's nice. I need you for up here and this one. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Use a clamp to tighten and turn the slipper clutch spring all the way down, then later open back to 3 to 5 turns before assembling. Okay. Looks like it gives you two. Are these two slipper springs? Or is there two springs in use in this? Huh. Very interesting. They actually give you an extra spring for your slipper. I mean, I'm not going to complain about extra parts. I will never complain about extra parts. I want you to go ahead and give it a squeeze to make sure that it's squeezed. So we did. We gave it a squeeze. It didn't squeeze any more really than it is, so there's that. And then we need our 3x8s. Nope, just one of those. Just one 3x8. One 3x8. We need three 3x16s. 3x12s. 8, 10, 12. Ooh, oh, that was close. Here's our 3x12s. I think. Oh wow, I'm way off. These are 3x16s. We need 3 of those anyway. I was looking at the wrong line. Okay, we're good. Shoo! Oh my goodness, almost got lost there. All right, one 3x12. One 3x8. An M3 lock nut. And our steel washers. For the slipper. These are the flanged washers for the slipper. They call it a washer and clutch. Sorry, steel slipper clutch spring holder washer. There we go. Okay, and then our M3 lock nut, which is this guy here. Surprised it's an M3. Just one little M3. Which means I need a 5.5 nut driver. Okay. All right, we're going to pull that all together again. Don't do what I just did and try to put the shaft through a screw hole. Oh no. All right, we're going to do this the old school way then. Which is what I'm used to doing anyway. Need a 16 for that. Okay. Instead of having you hold all that together while putting it through, usually you put the case and then put that through. So that's what we're going to do. Oops, what am I doing? Silly. Silly, silly. All right, and then the other 3x16 goes in the other top hole, but with no spacer in it. Okay. Are you sure about that? No, it's not. 6008. It's a 12. Goodness. There we go. And then 6003 is the 16. So these bottom two holes, because they're going to go through. Okay, so that's slightly confusing. It looks like they want you to have those one of those in between, but it's supposed to be one on the outside and one on the inside because they're actually cut out. Pointy side faces forward. Okay. There we go. Just a little confusion on that, so just keep an eye on that if you're building one of these. Okay, make sure it's still spinny. Okay, nothing too tight then. All right, and then this 3x8 goes in this little hole in the back. Okay, or was that another 3x5? Are these 8? Did I just put a 3x5 where a 3x8 needs to go? I sure did. I thought that seemed awfully short for an 8. It's okay. That just means they give you extra hardware. Hey, if we're coming with extra hardware at this kit, I'm here for it. I like extra hardware. Extra hardware is fantastic. Okay. Now, if we're going to do this my way, more old school way, we're going to put our clutch side in first. Whoops. Make sure that she's keyed the right direction. Okay. And I said the deep dish side faces the outside. I feel like that's supposed to slip in further than it is. You're supposed to go on this way? No, it's got to go the other way. Because it's showing it going the other way. There it goes. Just needed a little extra CNCing. See, there's not supposed to be a gap. That's how I knew it was wrong. All right, then that goes on. Hang on, Butterfingers. And that. There we go. Those are all in place. Then we can drop this through. Make sure our pin is in it. Boom. Now that's what we like to see. All right, now we can do our old springs here. So spring washer, spring washer. See, it's got a little nipple on one side that goes inside the spring. That's the ID of the spring. And that on there. And then, here we go loop-de-loo, here we go loop-de-lie, here we go loop-de-loo on a Tuesday morning. It's actually almost lunchtime, but here we go. Crank it all the way down. And then back it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0.5. That's almost flush with the end. Oh, I'm going to go in more than that. I just slipped it in my hand. We'll go there. Let's see how much torque that takes. Okay. That'll work. All right. Then we need this guy here. Our rear shock tower. And like I said, I'm putting these on upside down because it's going to be for a street stock body. First little burr I've seen. These are going to go on uppy sidey down. What do we need though? We need 3x10s and 3x12s. 4 of each. Well, these are 3x10s, I can tell you that, because I know that those are 3x12s and these are roughly 2 mil shorter. All right, so let's do this first. So we're going to do our 3x10s for this. I'm going to do the top mount. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know I always tell you, don't tighten down on carbon fiber with your ugga-dugga. And that is still what I say. If you notice, I didn't do it with it. Now these may need to have longer screws and then have 3 mil washers, or 2 4 mil washers on each side, just like the other ones do. We'll find out. Looks like we're going to clear okay here though. And I think that would clear okay. So we'll see once it gets to the ball stud mount and everything. I may have to change things around a little bit. But then we're going to tighten by hand. Okay. Then we take our standoff here, and this is going to face opposite of those, correct? Like towards the inside. Yes. Okay. If you're doing this by hand, this is a pretty tough plastic these are made out of. Definitely has some graphite in there because that's squeaking. It's going to be a nightmare to do by hand is what I'm trying to say. Especially if you're using those little L wrenches. I am sorry if that's how you're trying to build this kit. Oofta. Yeah, that's some tough stuff right there. I will say this carbon fiber is very, very nice. It's that nice matte finish. It's got the really nice weave in it. And it is... 9-ply. Very, very thick. Very thick. Heavy duty stuff right there. All right, so now we're done with that. Go over here, we're gonna grab, let's see, what's it want us to, the kit calls for 0 down. Perfect. All right, so 0 down, so that means we're gonna have it at the bottomest bottom it can go to. If you're wondering why I didn't grease it earlier, because I wanted to do it this way. Backwards so it sucks it straight up into the top shaft area. I want to do another dab going backwards as well. I do this that way I know that it's evenly distributed and I can see when it stops becoming like a hot mess basically and just being kind of scribbled on there and not where you want it, because I want it on the entire gear, not just through the middle or on one side or something. And I want to make sure that it's like that on all the gears, which is why I do it this way and not at the beginning. Okay, so that's in there. Then we need 4 3x10s, which means 4 more of these guys. Okay, so we got our 4 3x10s. And then we need this guy here. And I'm guessing it's going to go this way. Yes. Go floop, just like so. And that's why there's a gap in there for this screw. Because this screw that's a tight fit, as it should be on a fresh build. You want everything to be snug so that it has that room to break in. If you ever wonder why a first build is always harder than when you're doing maintenance on the car, it's because it's that first time in getting in there. So it's part of it. All right, and just for those of you who are wondering why I'm doing this, it's because you cannot get to those back 2 screws with this thing being in the way. You might be able to get a ball ended in there if you had them upright, but since I had them flipped upside down, I couldn't get down in here to get that on. Now we can put those back on. I'll go ahead and do them upright, just in case they're in the way again the other way. The next thing it wants me to do is put the motor in, which I'm not going to do yet because the motor for this isn't here yet. Sorry, I just realized that there's a ball stud mount in this bag, but not in any of the parts that we've already done. When does it want me to do the ball stud mount? Ah, there we go. The ball stud mount is actually on page 17. It looks like it was supposed to be with other parts in that bag. But the ball studs are going to get a 2mm washer and put in the middle hole, so we can go ahead and do that now and then set it aside so that we don't get it mixed up with anything else. So we'll do that. First, I'm going to take my 1.5 and I'm going to put this set screw in this pinion gear before I lose it. Because knowing my luck, I would lose it. Get our ball stud washers here. I'm gonna put all the extra parts in here. That's the last thing it wants me to do here is that. Some of this is going to be for mounting the motor, which I've got titanium screws for that from Sticky Kicks. So I'll be doing different than that. These may be the screws for mounting that, not sure yet. But we're going to go ahead and set that aside. Just going to go in that bag. We're going to go ahead and set this over. Ball stud washers, ball studs, and ball stud mount. So our ball stud mount's right here. It's got this nice curvy side and then a nice flat side. So it's on page 17. So let's just take a look here. It doesn't say what direction is up and what direction is down. But I'm assuming by the shape, yeah, the curve faces down so that it avoids from hitting the axle. So the top is the flat side. And it wants these in the middle hole. So we'll start there. I'm pretty much going to start this as kit build, and then we're going to adjust it from there once we get it on the oval. All right, there's that. Oh no, the Smurf is bleeding on my desk. So even though this is from page 17, since it's in this bag, I just wanted to get this done like this so that I wouldn't lose the parts. And that way it's ready to be actually bolted on once we get to that point. So there's that. The rest of this is extra stuff for adjustments. These look like servo mounts. So those need to go aside as well. These adjustment parts. For raising and lowering the rear. Go ahead and set this aside with our other hardware, but that is bags C and D. So we got our whole rear end done here, and that is going to be the end of today's video. We will continue on with this. Bag E is pretty much the entire rest of the kit. So it's probably going to get broken up a little bit, if not broken up a lot bit, since it's going to be a couple weeks before I have the electronics for this car anyway. So until then, keep the shiny side down, the rubber side up, and remember to stay in the groove. As always, keep the shiny side up, the rubber side down, and remember to stay in the groove.